everybody, welcome back to this channel. Today I will make a what's happening in your month reading, all about your month of June 2026. So here we have a pile number 1, here we have pile number 2, here we have pile number 3, and here we have pile number 4. Feel welcome to choose one of these 4 piles, and if you're new here on this channel and you never did any sort of pick a card readings before, this is basically about picking a pile based on your intuition, based on what your intuition is telling you. And please note, you cannot do anything wrong with that. And if you feel drawn to multiple piles, then I would pick the one that you feel more drawn to, because that means that you will probably resonate with that one more. And also listen to the other one, because maybe there's also a significant message there as well. I also want to mention that your soul is mainly here for the current moment, and actually my channel is also here to make you enjoy the current moment and, you know, make you less focus on the future, which is, I know, a little bit of a paradox, because actually, you know, my channel is here to connect you more and more with your soul's truth, and your soul's truth is that your soul always loves the current moment. This is where a lot of magic is happening, actually. But I also love tarot, because tarot gives great advice, and that's why I do these types of readings, and also because they're here for fun. It always depends on why we're watching these types of readings. You can control that, right? You can control why you watch these readings. If you watch them in order to have a specific message, this is usually ego-based, based on your ego's expectations. Meanwhile, if you watch them with a certain amount of fun and curiosity, then this just means your soul truly wants to have this experience of watching these types of readings. So I hope you know what I mean, and if you're as curious as me, I would say let's go. Hi pile number 1, and welcome to your reading all about your June of 2026. So I will start with my self-made zodiac sign cards to get a little information here at first, a little you know, basic information, I would call it, of what this month will look like. Oh, okay. A lot of work is what I'm seeing for you guys. Fourth house. Oh wow, pile number 1. Your pile is already starting very, very interesting. Why? Because I feel like for you guys, there is a new foundation in your career that you will build up in this month. So that can simply mean you start something completely new when it comes to your career. Because we have the 4th house, which is all about foundation and home and where are we from. And when we talk about foundation when it comes to your career, especially with Saturn and Capricorn, this is really when we get serious about a certain foundation. It can mean, but we have Capricorn here, but it can mean we also put more effort into where we live. Means maybe we move into a different home and we have to plan this out, right? Or we are changing a home in a way and we're getting more, you know, serious about something along the lines of home. So that can simply mean, for example, you are visiting your parents more regularly, or you are changing something about your home again, or you're visiting your grandparents more often, because you take that serious, right? You take home and family very serious. So that's what I try to explain. But the 4th house also talks about foundation. So if this is not talking about your family, right, then this can also mean that you will take more care of your, you know, the foundation of your career. So for example, you want to work from home and you want to make that, you know, you want to build that up so that you can work from home, or you ask your boss if you can work from home and do home office. Maybe you do more home office in general. There is something along the lines of home, and we take it more seriously. We take family more seriously. If you have kids, for example, you take that very seriously. Obviously, I mean, if you have kids, but you maybe change their rules in a way. Maybe you're more strict to them. Maybe you want to be more of a strict parent, because Saturn also talks about rules. So that's just relevant if you have kids, for example. So maybe you change the rules at home. But Saturn also talks about the harsh truth. So we will also be more honest in this month. So maybe honesty is important or is getting important in this month, especially when it comes to our career or even to ourselves when we need to be more dedicated about something, or again, or family or children, right? Where we have to be honest with them. And yeah, that's very interesting so far, I would say. Let's dive into the oracle cards that we got for you. So we have memory, the mind, right? So we'll put this on here. Isn't the color so freaking beautiful? I mean, come on. I'm like, no, maybe we put it in here. No, sorry. So we do it that way. And then we also have a friendliness. Interesting. And then we got do what you feel comfortable with. Soul contentment. It's funny because I really see this family here too. So maybe you really do have a family. Maybe you already have kids, or maybe you take care of your parents in a way. Because there's like this family is really sticking out here to me. And I feel like family probably makes you happy. Or in this month, you will spend more time with your family. Like especially with this child here. I don't know. I get this like family vibe here. So maybe just family is very important for you in this month. Maybe you take more care of your family. Also, he's gardening and like this taking care of your home, right? Where we are maybe changing our home in a way, like decorate it differently or taking it more seriously in a way. And it also reminds us, so if you are very busy with your family and if you, for example, have kids, that you should do what makes you feel great with being a parent. So especially when we're parents, I think we hear so many like advice, like we get so much advice and stuff. I also have a little bit of a problem when it comes to this, like, how should I say that? Because like in the psychological realm, we hear so many times, oh, it's our parents' fault. And I don't really like that so much. I mean, of course, a lot comes from a childhood. I get that, but our parents cannot always be perfect. And if you're a parent and you struggle with that feeling like I have to be perfect all the time, I have to make it right, this card is reminding us to not let these voices, I almost say, make you doubt your parenthood. Do you say parenthood? Like make you doubt you as a parent, basically. Because this card says that you should do it the way how you feel great with it, or how you feel contentment. So this card says celebrate your uniqueness, own your uniqueness, and do what makes you feel comfortable. I think if you are a parent or if you have a family, or even if you take care of your parents or something like that, Spirit is reminding you only do it the way how it makes you feel great and how you feel comfortable with. So of course sometimes we have to do things that, you know, we're not comfortable with, of course. You know, especially if we're a parent, I get that. But I mean, you should not do it because, for example, you read in a book, oh, that's how you should do it, but you actually don't feel comfortable with it at all. This is talking about the throat chakra, right? Oh God, I cannot speak right now. This annoys me. She has this throat chakra energy here. He has this like, I don't know why this is red. Actually, this shouldn't be red. But he has this red light here. This horse, this unicorn, I mean, has this yellow light here, which talks about the solar plexus chakra. And then here we have the sacral chakra. And I really don't know why this is red. Actually, it shouldn't be red. But basically, what I try to explain is it should make you feel comfortable in the sense of how you talk with your children, and not because people are saying, or even your parents are saying, oh no, in my generation we still did it that way, and you're like, yeah, but that was your generation, that's not how I do it, right? But if this is all not relevant for you and you're like, what the freak, then this card is just saying in this month you will focus more on what makes you feel comfortable. You will focus less on what others are saying, but you will listen way more of what makes you feel comfortable. And you will put up some boundaries, is what I'm getting here with Saturn too, right? So I think for most, this really talks about home and family, but it can also mean that you maybe build up a foundation, for example, in your career, a completely new foundation, because you listen more to yourself and because you want to do what makes you feel more comfortable. Working from home, for example, makes you maybe feel more comfortable. So you work and put effort in building that up, or asking your boss if you can do home office. This is what I try to explain here. So I feel like in this month, in June, you will be very, very friendly, but also strict, whether with yourself or with other people. You will be very friendly with yourself, but you will also be like, no, this is not how we do this. Or again, with your family. Maybe you will be like, okay, I love you guys, but listen, this is not how I do it. Especially when we take the example with our parents teaching us how to be a parent, and you're like, maybe that's how you did it, but I do it differently. So you put up boundaries, is what I try to explain, but you still have this friendly touch, this friendliness. You don't lose it just because you're more strict and honest with yourself and honest to other people, right? Because we have the honesty here with Saturn and the determination with Capricorn. So you're very determined in this month, especially when it comes to building up proper boundaries, especially around home and family, or again, a foundation around your career, because Capricorn also talks about career, Saturn as well. So again, it can also really talk about your career, where you maybe have to, for example, if you want to have or attract new clients, you have to be friendly to your clients, but you also have to have your, obviously, boundaries, right? So what I try to explain, you will be friendly, no matter if this is about your career or your home, but you will also have your boundaries and communicate them clearly. And then with your mind, is really, especially with Capricorn, I think you will, like in this month, I feel like you'll learn a lot, because this actually talks about memory. So this is something you will learn, like in this month, I feel like you will learn something that you will keep forever. This is like a learning that will be so significant in your life in general. Whatever you learn this month, this will be important for the rest of your life. So now we go into the tarot cards. Okay, so one thing I want to say is that you may felt like there was recently a more chaotic time in your life. Maybe you've been very busy, for example, or the tower actually symbolics things that felt like very out of the sudden, very out of the blue, I mean. So as an example, maybe you recently got fired, or maybe you recently had like a fight with your family or whatever, and we haven't really moved on from this quite yet. But I feel like in this month there will be like a solution of this. Like you will make peace with this, is what I try to explain. Because the Temperance really talks about peace, and I accidentally, I would say, but I take it as a sign, took the card upright. So this is the transformation I'm picking up on, where you will make peace with that situation. So anything that felt like very, very out of the blue, very sudden, very unprepared, and I would almost say not that great, because the tower represents situations where we feel at first that it's wrong, but it's actually for our highest good in long run. Because you have to know the tower only breaks apart when it was not meant to last anyway. So if you got fired, for example, recently, this just means that this has happened because your soul wants to experience something else. Like your higher self is preparing you for a bigger stage of your life, right? And so the old must fall away first. We have to get pushed out of our comfort zone, because our soul is never here for comfort, in order to create something new. And I always say the real confident people are those who can get out of their comfort zones and learn something new, because most of the times we want to be confident in everything, but yeah, that's actually an illusion, because we cannot be confident in everything, but we can be confident in being insecure at first and learning something new, and then getting confident in this area, if you know what I mean, by time, by regulating your nervous system naturally through going through this change, going through this process. So I always say, feel confident and not being confident, if you know what I mean. This is my favorite sentence, because the tower will always come in our life. Our soul is not here for constant peace and stagnance, is that a word? Stagnancy. And that's why this will always happen once in a while. Not always, I mean once in a while, where, all of a sudden things are happening and we're like, what? Why does that happen now? And we constantly search for only the good emotions, but our soul is here for all emotions. And basically, that's the Tower, right? So something happens where we get pushed out of our comfort zone. And I think this already has happened. I'm pretty sure that this has already happened, because this is actually the month in June where you will heal that, finding peace with that. It might still need a bit of time, right? Seven of Pentacles in reverse. And then with the King of Swords, which talks about a clear mind, and we had the memory here going on. So you will really use your mind a lot in this month. You will maybe learn a lot. You will definitely, I feel like you will rather read a lot, having clear conversations. Maybe you talk with someone who's inspiring you to let this go and to make peace with that, because the King of Swords can be a mentor. It can also be a therapist or a teacher in a way, or that really talks about you being so clear in your mind, and in the boundaries that you will build up in this month are very strong. You will have very clear and strong boundaries, and you will communicate those. The King of Swords is the card for communication skills and clear mind. Maybe you meditate a lot in this month, but this is really a month where you use your logic a lot, where you you again, especially with Saturn, like, you're so smart, pile number one. I just want to, I want you to know that you're very smart. And I see you tapping into a month. This is really a month where you will use this knowledge that you have for clear conversations, finding peace with everything that you haven't quite moved on from. And also being honest. The King of Swords is talking about honesty. It can occasionally mean that someone's more honest with you, and someone's talking with us more honest and openly. So this will be a month full of honest conversations, full of learning, growing because of that, healing, or basically finding peace with something that was sort of still bothering us. You will also, for example, if the Tower represents, for example, like a friendship breakup, this is really just an example. This can symbolic that we memorize it, right? Because we say, okay, I'm pretty hurt. I will not forget it, but I will forgive it. Forgetting and forgiving is not the same. So I will forgive that person or that situation again, but I will remember it because the next time, stronger boundaries. I know what I want in a relationship and what I don't want. So I'll learn from this, right? King of Swords. And this is what I mean. This can talk about everything. This does not have to be a friendship. This was really just an example. This can talk about career shift. This can talk about family. This can talk about a partner. But it can also talk about a friendship. It can talk about multiple situations, or even a person that we were just dating, and we'll learn from that because we got rejected, and we're like, you know what? I learned from it. I remember it, but I will make peace with that situation. Pile number one, this was very interesting. I hope this was resonating, and I hope we see you in my next one. Bye-bye. Hi, and welcome to your reading all about what's happening in June of 2026 for you. So, I would say we start with my zodiac sign cards. So if you're ready, let's go. What do we got here? Gemini. Okay. Oh, gee. Did you see how they jumped out? And this one. Pluto. I definitely see a crazy shift in your career. I don't want to dramatize it because this is just a month reading, so I want to keep it low, if you know what I mean. Usually the readings are more dramatic is the wrong word, but you know what I mean, when it's 1 year from now, or like a longer time period basically. But it's very interesting that we have Pluto in the 6th and 10th house, because with the Gemini especially. So you will focus a lot on your career, pile number 2, in this month. Your career will be your main focus in this month, in June. Because also with 6th house also talks about health, routines, organization skills, and especially also if you had goals around fitness, if you had fitness goals. There is like also focus on that. If you hit the gym, for example, you will focus a lot on these types of changes. If you wanted to change your diet and stuff like that, this is all the sixth house. And especially with the Gemini, it really tells me that you will learn a lot. Learning about health, learning about or diet, and focusing on that, focusing on what you do to feel great within your body. Pluto talks about change, right? Especially change that is very, very deep. And we have the freaking 10th house. This is one of the best cards or houses actually you can get when it comes to your career, because it talks about social status, clear direction, getting attention, getting authority from people, you know, getting respect basically. So whatever you currently work at, or if you have a stable job in a company, whatever, it does not matter where, but something in your career is shifting massively. And even though the sixth house talks about all the things that I was pointing out before, it also talks about career and planning new things in your career, right? Especially with Gemini, that talks about learning, using your mind, being very, very smart, you know, being clear in your head, being even funny sometimes, using your charismatic sides in order to, you know, win clients over or whatever. It can occasionally also talk, just if that's interesting for you, online business, right? Gemini is online. So if you wanted to build up an online business, and if this is relevant for you, the cards are saying, oh my God, if you wanted to do that, this is the month to do it. Because Pluto and Gemini, you will talk with the right people that are connecting you, or you will do your first, I don't know, like website, or you get what I mean. Like there's a lot of planning around your career. There's also an up leveling, I feel like, in your career. There could really be an up leveling in your career, and I don't want to make wrong promises here, but the 10th house with all the other cards, especially with Pluto also and Gemini, oof. Okay, like guys, you can really expect changes around your career. So now we will move on with the oracle cards that we got for you. So we have unit. Let's put it in here. And the law of grace. Oh my God, and it's connected to number 5, which talks about change as well. I feel like in your career, there has been maybe some, I don't want to say rock bottoms, okay, but grace is like, it's giving me the feeling of like, I forgive you, obviously, because it talks about, you know, grace. And especially with unit right next to it, unit always reminds me, especially when we talk about career, and I mentioned the online business, right? So maybe you, because the 10th house also occasionally talks about like fame and recognition. It's so funny because I made a 1 year from now reading and I just cutted it. And in these readings, like we had so many piles talking about, you know, recognition and fame and stuff like that. And also I think in one of my career readings, and it's funny because we have the unit here again, so maybe you felt drawn to one of these piles too in my recent videos, because this with Gemini really gives me the message of maybe we will attract fandom, you know, like fans, or more like a bigger clientele. We build up an online community. This can also talk about community, but if this is really not relevant for you, this can also mean that our working colleagues have more respect and we forgive anything. Like maybe we even make friendships, or like I really feel like there is a certain friendship. For others, this really talks about creating an online community, clientele, fandom. You know what I mean? Like people that are recognizing us, people that are seeing us. Because unit is always like one, you get what I mean, like unit, it's obvious what it means. And the unit also sometimes talks about teaching as well. And maybe that is relevant for you, especially if you want to like maybe do online working, like workshops or stuff like that, where you sell stuff online and you teach maybe something others. That can be that. But it can again also mean that we are getting closer with our boss, and our boss is recognizing or capabilities in our job, right? And it's like grateful for us and is appreciating us. There's a lot of appreciation in your job, and also more clear direction in your job. And I don't know why, but I keep constantly hearing there is really like this massive, like you will feel great in this month when it comes to your career. This is what I try to explain. This month is a career month for you guys. Now we will ask tarot. Okay, number 2. Of course we get the 9 of Pentacles. I mean, okay. Like, of course. And this card wanted to come down in reverse as well as upright, so we will talk about both meanings of the card. But I mean, how crazy fitting is that? It's like, of course we get the Page of Pentacles. Guys, oh, okay. The Knight of Swords. For those who are not into tarot and stuff, I take the card in the back of the deck as well. I have to explain, the Pentacles always talk about material, like the material aspects of life, especially career, money, finances, physical appearance, stuff like that. And did we have this going on here or not with the 6th house and the 10th house? This is crazy, you guys. So let me tell you, this will be a month where you will feel like physical shifts in your life, especially with Pluto. Pluto talks about old things fall away first so that we can build up something completely new that is sustainable. And I feel like something old has already fallen away in your past because we're already at the stage where new things are, you know, physically are coming into our life, especially with the 9 of Pentacles. The 9 of Pentacles talks about independence. So this will be a month where you will at least feel very independent. But I think for most, this really talks about financial independence. So again, this will be a month where you rather focus on financial independence, where you maybe read a lot about financial independence, where you maybe learn a lot about financial independence, or you even teach that others, right? When you want to build up an online business and you want to teach others how to become financially independent. It does not matter because it depends on your situation and it's a general reading, but there is something along the lines of independence that is relevant for you in this month. And especially with the Fool right next to it. The Fool always symbolics a new journey, a completely new journey, especially right next with the Page of Pentacles. That was not a right sentence, I know. Funny enough though, my feeling was constantly telling me that this is actually something you wanted to build up for a while now. That is something, you know, although there's this massive shift, it's still sort of new, if you know what I mean. So that can simply mean you have your first, I don't know, that's just a random number, okay? Your first 10,000 followers and you're like, what? But this is the beginning of something bigger. Or you changed position in your, you know, company, and then, you know, this is just the beginning of, you know, in the future it leads to even a bigger position in your job. But it starts with this new position. This is just really all an example, but you know what I mean? Or you have graduated from school, right? And it gives you more independence because you don't have to go to school anymore. Or you maybe finished university and now there's this, you know, independence, but also this new journey that comes along with it. So there's something new in June 2026 for you that will be long lasting though, that you want to build up, I mean. But that will be long lasting because the Page of Pentacles, when you look at the card, he's building up a sandcastle, as you can see. But this sandcastle can hold this pentacle. Like, it's not falling down. It's sustainable. It's you get the point of it. It's long lasting, basically. And it gives you this freedom. There's like a lot of freedom in June 2026. Maybe even you get your first paycheck or something like that. Or maybe your boss is giving you a raise. Like, there is some sort of new journey. But it's also, because the card also wanted to come down in reverse. So that means you're no longer holding back. There is a certain freedom because you don't hold back anymore. Means, for example, you talk to your boss. You go up to your boss and you say, oh my God, I want this raise because I deserve it. Bam, that's the moment you get the raise or the new position or whatever. Because you were like, I can do this, I believe in myself, I deserve this job. And so bam, you get the job. So you get the point of it. So basically there is a certain amount of freedom and independence that comes from you being like, I no longer hold back. And bam, this is where we start this new journey of building something long lasting. Although you already built something up in this month, if you know what I mean. I hope I made clear what I try to explain. There is a new step in your career, but there's so much more that will come into in the future. This is what I try to explain. And with the Knight of Swords, Page of Swords, we have 2 pages. The page is always symbolic something new, especially also with the Fool. So this is really something new, but it will make you feel so free. So it's not something, you know what I mean? It's not something completely new in the sense of, oh, I'm just starting school. No, we actually just ended school, which is the reason for more freedom, but a new journey with a first job, you know what I mean? Or when you want to build up an online clientele, you will have your first, 2-3 clients, but now it's the beginning of something way bigger where you have multiple, like more clients that are constantly, that are long lasting, so to speak, like long lasting clients. I hope I made clear what I wanted to say. I know I repeat myself here, but I really want to make clear what I try to explain here. And the Page of Swords is also when we learn something new. So this whole journey, this is really a month where you focus a lot on your career. So you will read a lot, you will study a lot, maybe you will try to build up this freaking sandcastle here. And therefore you will make everything possible for yourself. You will do anything to get there, to like make this sandcastle bigger and bigger and bigger. And so therefore you will read and study a lot about how to build this sandcastle up, whatever your sandcastle is. And one more time, if this talks about online, because the sword's symbolic online, this really talks about online, like community, for example. So you maybe got your first, 100 or 200 or 300, 500 subscribers, and it's motivating you to keep going. So you will read even more about how do I make my videos go viral, or how do I do this. That's an example if you do want to make something, if you want to make something online. But this is what I try to explain. You will read and learn even more about it because you're super motivated. Again, pages are symbolic this new journey as well as the Fool. It's new, but it's giving you the feeling of freedom and independence, right? And the Queen of Cups in reverse is always reminding us to be less, I don't want to say people pleaser, I always say people pleaser, but the Queen of Cups, she cares a lot for others. And sometimes she does care a little bit too much for other people's emotions and feelings. And I really hear that one thing you will learn, first of all, in this month or focus on is to take less care of how other people view you. And especially when I look at this card, he's so focused on this book. He's so focused on himself. He's so focused on his career, on the sand castle, that they're not even taking care, maybe not even taking care of their own emotions. So one little message from Spirit is take care of your feelings in that month too. And don't overwork yourself. But also it's giving me the message that the reason of why you feel so free is because you step away from people pleasing or taking too much care of how other people perceive us, look at us. And that's the reason why you maybe even gain this, especially when we talk about a boss, right? Instead of saying, oh, but what if he's judging me, whatever, or she, you go up to your boss and you will say, I don't care because I deserve it. So I will ask for a raise. You know what I mean? This is when we tap away from, so to speak, people pleasing. And this will make you stronger in the sense of you still care. The Queen of Cups always cares, even if it's reversed. She always cares. But in a more healthier dynamic is what I'm picking up for you specifically. But it's also reminding us to take care of our emotions. So that was it with your month. It will be very interesting. Especially career-wise, there will be a lot of changes. Again, you will use your mind, your voice a lot. You will speak more honestly. You will, again, take less care of how other people view you, which will lead you to this massive change, especially with the Page of Swords is what I just recognized, because the Page of Swords also sometimes needs to learn, usually, to take more care of others. But in this combination here with the Queen of Cups in reverse, it really gives me the vibe that that was necessary for you to overcome certain blocks, especially with the Fool almost turning around because she felt like, oh, what if they're judging me? What if I'm not, pretty, smart, good in my job enough? Whatever it is, it made you hold you back from your potential, is what I try to explain, because you cared so much of how other people view you. And this is what you will let go of in this month, which leads you to this massive transformation, is what I try to explain, because you tap into more of this is what I deserve, 9 of Pentacles. So that will be such an interesting month for you guys. Oh my God. And one thing, if health or fitness goals or whatever was important for you too, I just wanted to point out one more time, there's also a lot of focus on that. Learning about that, reading about that, studying about these types of things. Maybe you learn a lot about health. Maybe you want to focus more on your health. Things like that. There's definitely a new routine also in your career. Maybe because you change position in your job. Maybe because your boss says, okay, if I give you that raise, I want you to change this and that. And you do it, right? You get the point of it. So that will be so significant in this month for your career. And yeah, I hope you liked the reading and I hope it resonated. Bye-bye. Hi you, and welcome to your reading all about your June of 2026. And if you as ready as me, I would say, let's go. So we will start with my self-made zodiac sign cards, and we will see what we get. Mercury and Sagittarius. So this will be a month where you will have definitely like fun, because the 5th house talks about fun, letting out our inner child, having a lot of like feeling free, especially with Sagittarius. This is a month where you will feel very free, and you will also expand your creative sides, but your creative ideas. You will be very creative in this month, I feel like. Especially with Mercury, this is funny because we on one hand have this like house of creativity and the expansion and freedom with Sagittarius, but we also have the planet of being, learning a lot, reading a lot, being very rational. Meanwhile, here we're not very rational. So I think this is a perfect balance of being still very rational and logic, but still having a lot of, I don't want to say naivety, but the 5th house talks about our inner child, letting out our inner child, but not in a childish way, don't get me wrong, but in a more childlike way. Childlike and childish is not the same. And we're like letting out our unhinged self, I would say, but we're also still very serious about things. We learn a lot. We again use our mind a lot. We're very rational, but we expand our knowledge in this month. There's something you're definitely going to learn in this month. So whether this is about, maybe you do an online course, or maybe you study something. Maybe you're currently studying and you will focus on that, right? So, but you also will maybe have a date or meeting your friends at least, because the 5th house talks about meeting people. So most of the times it talks about dating and friendships. So there is maybe a date that you will have in this month, or if you're in a relationship, obviously not. This is a general reading, keep this in mind. But it can also mean that we're meeting more, like we maybe have more time meeting our friends in this month. So, ooh, oh my God, do you see how fitting the colors are? Like these are the same colors. I don't know if it's so clear in the camera, but this is violet and green, and here we also have violet and green. It's so beautiful. So these cards are talking about, this is the clearing, right? This is the card of clearing, and especially here with this light bomb above her head, it really gives me clearing of mind vibes, especially with Mercury. So you will definitely use your mind a lot in this month. You will learn a lot. Maybe you will meditate in this month a lot, or you will get into meditation. Maybe you join a meditation class or whatever, or you're going to do yoga or something like that. It sounded like yogurt, but I meant yoga. I hope I pronounced it correctly, but you know what I mean. This will be a reflective month for you. This will be a very, like you get what I mean. So I don't want to ramble for too long. So then we have, of course, we get the communication card. I mean, We have Mercury, which talks about like being rational and, you know, being in our head a lot and blah, blah. And usually Mercury, you have to know, is also connected with Gemini and Virgo, which are both cards, especially Gemini, that are talking about communication. So this is a month where you will have real, honest, and I almost feel like good conversations, I mean, with maybe, you know, a specific someone on a date. So if you are single, for example, that can really mean we are going out on a date with someone and we have great conversations. This can also mean we are meeting friends and we have great conversations. There is like something along the lines of honest conversations. And yeah, and I don't know why I'm constantly hearing, especially if you're single, that you maybe could meet someone where you will really feel like, oh my God, I can just communicate with this person so well. Like it's just flowing. And maybe the reason of why we have a great conversation also comes from us using, or I don't want to say reflective mind, but because we're so in alignment with ourselves in this month. Also, Mercury, by the way, talks about if we maybe have to make a decision. So maybe there's a month where you have to make a decision, especially with this position here on this card where she almost like, it gives me the vibe of we're thinking about we have two options here, if you know what I mean. So maybe you will have two options and you have to choose between people, maybe you have two career choices. This is a little bit of guessing, to be fully honest, but it can occasionally talk about that because we have Mercury here as well. And maybe the cards are also saying this will be a month where you have to be very clear in your mind because you have to make a very important decision. So that can come up. But then we also have, the cocoon out of white light. Peace and perfect love encompasses unity. So this card definitely talks about love as well. And we have the butterfly here. It's so beautiful. So I definitely feel like this will be a month where you will feel great also about yourself, where you will show your colors. Maybe you will even wear a lot of colors in this month and experience yourself a bit, again with the 5th house here as well. Like maybe you try out a new style or a new makeup routine or things like that. There is a certain amount of freedom that I'm picking up on, especially also with Sagittarius, which can mean we try out new things when it comes to style or hair or makeup or skincare, whatever. And we feel so free with the butterfly, and especially we transform into the butterfly from the cocoon. So this will be a month where you will shine your light, I would say. And it also talks about love. And I don't know, I constantly hear this state. I don't know why, but if you're in a relationship, this obviously does not, you know, it's not relevant for you, of course. But if you're single, I really feel like you're going to meet someone. I don't want to make wrong hopes or anything or wrong promises, but especially also with the butterfly, when we're excited and we tell our friends like, oh my God, I met a person and this person is so great and I have like butterflies in my stomach. I hear that you maybe make a call with someone, yeah. And like basically you will call like a friend and you will be like, you have no idea, I just met this person. So I keep hearing that, but I don't want to like make wrong promises. And if you're in a relationship, this really just talks about your own freedom, about, you know, changing things up, maybe in your style, and feeling free, and also communicating a lot with your friends or having great conversations with your friends. Like maybe even deep talks, because Sagittarius also talks about deep talks and like philosophical talks with your friends, right? So even if you're in a relationship, that can simply mean we talk with our friends like very open and honestly. And I have to say, if you meet someone like like I said, with as a date, this can really mean that this person could be a little bit philosophical, or we have very beautiful conversations with that person. And you may like that person because that person is very philosophical, because Sagittarius talks about really good conversations where we always have like almost epiphanies and things like that. So, oh my gosh, guys, we got the lovers. Are you kidding me now? I love when it's so fitting. I mean, I'm sorry, but then also these cards came down in reverse. Okay. Do you see the cards? Oh no. Just noticed. Okay. At the back of the deck we have this card. So I feel like this will be a month where you might fall in love. I don't want to make wrong hopes or like promises and stuff like that, but I mean, come on. Like, come on. We are listening more to our heart, and I have to say the lovers also talk about decisions, and especially decisions where we have to listen to our heart. And did I mention decisions or what? So for some, this will be a month where you have to make a decision, whether between two people or between other things. Like, it can be really anything. It's a general reading. It can be our job. It can be, you know, like two people are interested in us. It can be, should I do this? I don't know, like career change, like whatever. There will be a decision, I feel like, in this month where you have to use both your clear mind, but also listening to your heart. I personally prefer listening to a heart, but the cards are telling me that you have to, so to speak, maybe even do a pro and contra list. I personally don't like it that much, but this is my personal opinion, and we're reading the cards here, and the cards are telling me that you're maybe a person who needs to make a pro and con list to be fully sure. Because maybe you're someone who needs to, like, maybe you're an overthinker or something, or maybe you just like to be, maybe that's a very important decision, or I don't know, but the cards are saying listen to your heart, but also you have to be sure of that. And so that's, and this card also, Marguerite talks about writing and using our mind, so, and being rational. So that's what I try to explain. We have to be rational, but we also have to listen to our heart, right? And not to what others say. This is the main message, especially with the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Please, if you have to make a decision, don't listen to what others are saying. Listen to yourself. This is the main message. I feel like this could be a battle between mind and heart. So maybe it's not a decision about two things that you have to choose between, but maybe it's really about, for example, this person that you're dating, or even friendships or whatever, where there could be a battle between your mind and your heart, where your heart is saying one thing and your mind is saying something else. The Six of Wands in reverse is when we, I will be fully honest, since I'm an honest tarot reader, when we get critic sometimes, or when we are very, this can also mean that you're criticizing something or someone. So that can mean, for example, you're dating someone and you really like a lot about this person. You think, oh my God, they're so amazing, they're so smart. But for example, they haven't figured out their finances yet, quite yet. And that's where the critic comes in, right? Because I have to say that Empress, no, not Empress, the Emperor talks about this feeling of we haven't figured out our career quite yet, or that our career is unstable, so it's not quite stable, and maybe we criticize that about that person, or vice versa. Maybe that person is criticizing that about you, and there's like a conflict, an internal conflict going on. But I feel like this is more about you criticizing that person. When we talk about that, again, this can also be about yourself, you having a month where you question maybe your career, and where you may be a bit impatient when it comes to your career. And this month is also, the cards are also warning us here with the Nine of Pentacles in reverse to build up boundaries when it comes to people that want to take use of us in a way, like especially financially usually, but it can be anything where people are maybe, or want to give us unnecessary advice, or unasked advice that feels unnecessary, and where we get internally conflicted, right? Because I get this strong message that there could be the feeling of insecurity, whether because of this decision, or because of this person, or because of a job. It can be, you know, it's a whole month, right? So it can be different areas of our life, I mean. But Spirit is warning us to not trust easily. Others are building up stronger boundaries when it comes to others and our environment. So this will be a month where you will tap into more independence in the sense of we're trusting ourselves more, where you will learn to trust yourself more than others, especially when it comes to situations where you have to rather make a decision, or when it comes to picking the right person, right? Or if someone's criticizing us, that we build up an internal stability, if you know what I mean, like an internal strength of like, I can deal with that. So there might be a learning around that in this month where you have to learn to build up rather internal stability, to listen more to yourself, to listen more to your own heart, to listen less to others, but also to maybe build up a certain amount of confidence, especially with the butterfly here, right? Where we build up a certain strength when it comes to, for example, if we feel like we're getting rejected or we're getting criticized, this can be in our job. This does not have to be relevant with your person. Again, this also depends if you're single or not, but basically it can be about different areas of your life where you maybe feel like not quite stable, whether internally or externally, but there's a lack of stability here in a way. This can mean the person that you're dating. This can be yourself. This can be your job. But I also feel like this will be a month where you learn to not let others take use of you and to be more independent. There could be a topic of independence this month where you maybe get triggered in the sense of I have to be rather emotionally more independent or financially. It depends on your situation, of course, because there could be a person who wants to take use of you and your money or use of your insecurity. Again, it depends on your situation, of course, in your life. There's a general reading, but I feel like that this will be a learning in this month, and that's exactly why I feel like you will, again, communicate clearer your boundaries, and where you will have great conversations because you no longer let others, so to speak, take use of you, or again, your financial security or whatever it is, right? I think for some of you, it can really be your insecurity in general. But I feel like there is really a person, it can be a friend, it can be a person that you're dating. It doesn't have to be the person that I was talking before, but it can also be a family member. You know what I mean? That could, try to or make you insecure in a way. Or this just simply talks about your job, where you feel insecure about your job in this month, but you will, again, read a lot about it, learn a lot about it, right? Because Mercury is the planet of learning, reading, understanding things, being rational. So this is really, I feel like, a month where you learn so much about independence, confidence, stability, internally as well as externally. Especially with the Pentacles, it talks about externally, but it's reversed. So this can really talk about an internal conflict where you maybe, for example, fall in love, but you're like, yeah, but I still want to be independent. How do I balance this, for example? It's just really an example. Or maybe you have to listen to your heart about a decision, about a job change or whatever. But whatever it is, and there's like an instability or like an insecurity, all of a sudden we get triggered and we're like, okay, how do I, like, and then you learn about it. How do I feel more confident? Or how do I feel more independent? Or how do I make this, or like, how do I fall in love without that this person is completely taking over my life? Or you get what I mean emotionally. Because when we fall in love in the beginning, we usually tend to, give a lot and do a lot for that person and being like overly like love bombing and stuff like that. And that's what I try to explain. This will be a month of learning and growth, especially with Sagittarius, right? Growth. Sagittarius talks about higher learning as well. So this is definitely a higher learning, but also, again, there's this like beauty that comes out of it, right? You become the butterfly. You break out of the cocoon, so to speak. Oh my God, guys, I completely forgot to mention the Seven of Pentacles. I almost wanted to finish the video, but the Seven of Pentacles in reverse talks about, first of all, it's warning us to not make impulsive decisions, which is funny because we talked about decisions, right? So if you have to make a decision in this month, Spirit is warning you to make it not out of an impulsive way. And also, it is like giving me the feeling that this situation that I was pointing out could maybe potentially frustrate you a bit in this month, where you feel like, oh gosh, now, I feel a little bit insecure. Again, this really talks about your situation. This will be a month of learning to deal with this type of situations, and where we may have a certain impatience, where we may feel like, oh, like, how should I deal with that now? Or Why is this happening? Like, and Spirit is saying exactly here it's important, one more time, to make, to have a strategy, to be more rational, to not make things or say things out of impulsiveness, especially if this talks about a person that wants to take use of us or we feel uncomfortable, whatever. Instead of, because our ego is hurt, for example, especially if with a Six of Wands in reverse. For example, a boss is saying like, you did not do that well or whatever, well enough. And then we feel like, we don't really feel like confident enough to say something or, and we get frustrated about it. Especially here, Spirit is saying it's happening so that we learn to do it, to communicate clearer, to communicate our boundaries. I know this wasn't just a positive reading, but I'm an honest tarot reader. And again, I think there's so many positive and great events going on in this month, especially with the 5th house, where we will have a lot of fun and the feeling of freedom, again, expansion, higher learning, all of that, where we will be creative with our style or look and maybe other things too. We will maybe even fall in love or having some crushy feelings. Your soul is not just here for positive and only the positive events. I always say, your soul loves your life at any point in time, because for your soul, it's like a playground or like a game. And a game would not make fun if it would be just like, like always peaceful and fine. You need challenges and obstacles in order to have fun, not just to grow and learn like most people want to teach you. No, but to actually have fun. So the more we connect with our soul, we actually start to love struggles in our life. I will tell you that. Yeah, so if you want that, for example, I would highly recommend to listen to Truth Affirmations. You will find my video about that on my channel. I will maybe link it somewhere. I wrote like a list of truth affirmations down in the description, which is important to connect ourselves more with our soul instead of using affirmations based on lying, based on ego, which is important because when we connect more and more with our soul, we actually love, again, obstacles and challenges in our life, and we do not avoid that anymore. And we actually enjoy these types of situations where we struggle a bit or are having people in our life that are making us feel like that, like, oh, I have to build up more independence, or I have to build up more confidence, or I have to build up real blah, blah, blah. And in that moment, we usually do not enjoy it, right? We feel like, hesitation, or we feel like this is not cool, whatever. But our soul would be so bored if we would only have like stagnancy, no emotions. Our soul is here to experience all different types of emotions. Basically, what I try to explain, this will be a month that could be a little bit chaotic, but for your soul, it is amazing because we have Sagittarius here, which talks about higher learning, wisdom, and you will get so strong out of that. You will be so like, I think at the end of the month, you're like, yeah, look what I learned. And also Sagittarius is the teacher. So maybe you will teach it others later. Maybe you have children that you will teach it, or maybe you're an actual teacher, or maybe whatever, maybe you will teach it to your friends later and you will be like, oh, I've been there. You get the point of it. So I hope you enjoyed that reading, and I hope you see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to your reading all about what's happening in the month of June 2026 for you. So if you're as curious as me, I would say let's go. So we're starting with my self-made zodiac sign cards. Got the 3rd house. I made them so that I learn it before anyone asks, because there we could write down what it's standing for and the meaning of it. And so that's the reason why I made them myself. So just so you're not confused. Probably you didn't even wonder, but So basically we have, oh my god, we have the 3rd house in Gemini in Saturn. So the 3rd house is the house of Gemini, which is funny because like maybe you are a Gemini, or you're just generally a very smart person. By the way, Geminis are very funny, so maybe you're a funny person. I just want to point that out. But especially with Saturn, Saturn is the planet of the harsh truth. So this will be a month where maybe someone is communicating with you very honest and openly, or you are doing that, because Gemini and the 3rd house is talking about honest conversations. That's the main meaning of the third house. It literally says communication, especially between working colleagues. If you had problems with working colleagues, this can talk about honest conversations with a working colleague that is significant, or your boss, or someone else, maybe your partner. But Saturn talks about this building up proper boundaries, being honest about things, and changing the rules, if you know what I mean. So this can really be like a conversation of like, listen, this is how I want this, or this is what I expect. Like, this is really when we communicate our wishes and or needs, basically, but we communicate that very, very honestly. So this will also be a month where you will use your communication skills in general, I feel like. So not just with one specific person, but generally also in your career. And yeah, that's what I see so far right off the bat, I think you say in English. And now we now we check out the oracle cards that we got for you. So we got forgive. What? Forgiving. Isn't that fitting? Like, I just mentioned, sorry, I was like very excited, but I just mentioned we will talk with, especially maybe someone specific or in our career when we had like conflicts, you know, with someone very open and honestly. And now we have the card of forgiving. So I definitely feel like this is a month where you will communicate with someone where you maybe had a conflict with this person, or a fight, or maybe even a breakup, or it can be a friendship breakup, it can be a person that you are dating, it can be really anyone, you will know it. But there has to be a person, sorry, this is my neighbor, but there has to be a person where you maybe had a conflict with or a discussion with, and this will be the month where we will communicate this clearly, where we will talk this through, where we will forgive each other. And it's also connected to the number of 10, which is the end of a circle. So this is really, I feel like, the end of a conflict, or minimum, you are forgiving that person, although you're not talking with them, and just simply forgiving them and making your peace with it. But I think really for most, like 99%, you're really talking with that person and you talk it through, and through that clarity that we get, we can forgive each other. And especially misunderstandings will be, cleared out. Do you say it that way? Or like, you can basically forgive that person because any misunderstandings will be communicated. Yeah, it's beautiful, because like, wow, I mean, how fitting is that? This can go even that deep that you confess something to someone you wanted to confess for a long time. Something that maybe would hurt the other person. Or you've been hurt and this person is apologizing to you. There's an apology coming through. I really picked this up, whether from you or from another person. Then we have the cosmic diamond with the number 30, and it's like a 3, and the 3 symbolics the third house, which talks about open and honest conversations. Like, that's insane, you guys. And it also says send hope and happiness, illuminate the world, or something like that. But basically, it talks about hope and happiness. And I think as soon as you will open up with that person, or forgive that person, or vice versa, you will feel so free. Like, this is, I get this freedom with this card because we communicate clearly and openly, right? And this will also be a month where you will feel way more hope and way more joy in general. That's what what I'm picking up. Then we have cosmic smaragd. And it's also talking about the heart chakra, which obviously makes sense, because when we communicate clearly and openly with someone that matters to us, our heart is like feeling so relieved. And I get this relief feeling, especially if you have to apologize to someone. And it also talks about health and the feeling of fulfillment. So this will be a month where you will feel just so, again, relieved and great. I really feel like this is very much connected to the situation, because it's, again, connected to the heart chakra. So I feel like you will feel like so free this month because of that. So, pile number 4. Oh my god. We got the Ace of Swords, and the card sort of wanted to come down in reverse, but also it came up right. So this is crazy, and I will tell you why in a second. And oh my god, the cards are like insane right now. Okay. Reason being is because I feel like whether you or another person has been scared to open up open and honestly because they or you have been scared to get rejected. But the card is in reverse, the Five of Pentacles in reverse. So the answer is the moment you open up, you will feel so free because you will notice you won't get rejected from that person and vice versa. Again, if this talks about someone wants to apologize to you, they will see the honesty will actually bring you guys closer together instead of, ripping you apart. And I really see that as the strongest message of this month. So in this month, there will be someone, maybe a Gemini, but I think this is not talking about the zodiac sign, honestly, but someone who really wants to apologize, communicate with you, or vice versa. Something that was heavily on our mind and already like our heart was beating for us for this conversation. Our heart really wanted that. And so Ace of Swords literally talks about honesty. I kid you not. Is that crazy? And it talks about communication. It talks about honest conversations. Wow. And it also leads to this like new almost beginning between the both of you. Even this is about a person you know for a while now. It's rebonding your relationship with that person because we do not reject each other. Five of Pentacles in reverse is when we actually, there's honesty, and anything that felt like unfair is healing. So no matter what happened between you and that person, we will talk this through and we will be honest. And the Ace of Swords talks about honesty, like I mentioned, but it also wanted to come down in reverse a little bit. So that means maybe in the beginning of the month, maybe that happens in the middle of the month, because in the beginning of the month, that can be you or again, that person thinking, oh, maybe this person will reject me, so maybe not. And in that moment where we, open up, we will see, oh my God, no, actually, this was so great and I feel so free now. And we will get closer together. Especially Gemini is like this two sign, so to speak, because Gemini. And it also talks about bonding and connections. And the Queen of Wands, I love her so much. She's so confident and she has integrated her shadow sides. This black cat here, symbolic her shadow sides. So we are talking about a very reflective person here. This can be you being so reflective about what you did to that person and vice versa. That's the reason of why we get together again or why we forgive this person, because this will not be an apology like, yeah, by the way, sorry. No, it won't be that dry. It will be an honest apology of like, I'm sorry that I said this or that. I shouldn't have done this. This was really not okay for me. And I reflected about this and I really noticed I fucked up. This is the type of apology where we apologize because we truly feel sorry and we truly recognize what we did and we communicate that. Oh, no. You guys didn't fully see the cards. So that's what I get with the Queen of Wands. Like, she owns the wand. She's the queen. And she is very confident. She's also, by the way, I don't know if this talks about you or this person, but she's someone who is so loved by so many people. Everyone wants to be friends with the Queen of Wands. She's a trendsetter, by the way. She is very cool. And she's also owning the spotlight. She loves to be seen because she's naturally very attractive to people. If that talks about you, but it can also be that person. I just wanted to explain the personality so that you know who's the one who's going to apologize. The Queen of Wands talks about this personality who's very extroverted, loved by so many people, usually a fire sign, which would be Sagittarius, Aries, or Leo. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. This is really just a personality from these signs. And again, fire signs are very obviously fiery and passionate. So this would talk about a passionate person who could be very creative, who is maybe extroverted, a little bit more of an extroverted personality, especially on parties. She's very funny. Is a funny person, or someone who's very, very popular. This is a popular person. So again, this can talk about you, this can talk about another person, but I feel like this talks about the person who's apologizing, right? Because she's the one who's owning her shadow sides and says, you know what, I fucked up, I'm sorry. And right next we have the Page of Wands, which really talks about moving on from whatever this was, from this conflict, we move on, but it's also the Messenger. Oh no, that's the Knight of Wands, not the Page of Wands, sorry. The Knight of Wands talks about, energy, you guys. This will be a month where you will have a lot of energy, where you will have a lot of passion. You will have a lot of inspirations in this month. This is really a month where you will do a lot effectively. Maybe you even sort out like old things that you don't need anymore. Like, for example, you clean your closet or whatever. Like, you get what I mean. Like, this is when we have a lot of energy, when we're very active. And I think this will be generally your energy in this month, not just with this situation, but I feel like there's a lot of energy that comes through in this month. Maybe even because of the situation, maybe that's motivating you, but I feel like generally there is way more energy and maybe a little bit of impatience, because the Knight of Wands usually talks about impatience too. So the card is also reminding us to be a bit more patient in this month, but also I feel like that you enjoy that amount of energy, if you know what I mean. So actually only slow down when you feel like you are very impatient now. But generally, I feel like that energy is very, very healthy for you, because I feel like you will do a lot in this month. I feel like you will do like whatever you plan, you will put it into action. Whatever your ideas are and whatever you plan to do, so to speak, in this month, you will actually take action and not just think you should do it, if you know what I mean. So for example, you will not just say, I really should do the dishes now, and then, do it 3 hours later, but you actually do it. You know what I mean? That's the Knight of Wands energy. We actually take action. It can occasionally also talk about a short trip, although this does really not have to be the case for all of you. But because I do not see travel in all the other cards, but it can occasionally talk about that. So maybe you do make a spontaneous trip, because it can talk about travel here as well. So I think I pointed out everything that I got from this reading today. This will be a month where you will be super honest. I feel like in general to like everyone, but there will be one specific person that I feel like you whether will apologize to them or they will apologize to you. They want to communicate clear with you. And I think that will be the main thing of this month that will rather inspire you in a way, because Knight of Wands also talks about inspiration, or it will just like heal you in a way, because it's so significant for this month. The cards are giving me that message that this is the most significant thing that's happening in this month for you. But this honesty or this conversation again will like motivate you a lot, is what I'm hearing, because it makes you free, is what I'm hearing. So I hope you enjoyed that reading, and I hope we see you in my next one. Bye bye.